Nice people break easy. Oh, we didn't talk about villain mentality.
Villain mentality?
Mm-hmm. Are you a Billie Eilish bad guy?
Kind of.
If I ever get fed up with life, I'm gonna move to California and just start a new life. That's fair. Just make sure you have the money, buddy.
Yeah.
California is expensive. But yeah, villain mentality. Let's do it.
Villain mentality.
What's your thing on that?
Let's flip and go. Essentially,
Learn me.
I've always had from a very
Yeah, high tax rate too. I thought Kansas City was bad because they got that 10% tax rate, but it's like something closer to what 16 in California.
I feel like it wouldn't be that much of a jump from Boston.
How much is it in Boston?
From what I've heard, it's
50%? There's no way. Let's
That's-
look this up right now. On income. Holy crap.
that's too much.
That's a lot. Tax.
30 or 40 in Boston.
That's could be worse.
It's like 10% here.
Hmm.
But anyhow,
Wow, yeah, taxes in California are awful.
the point
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to make. Anyway, the villain mentality. Essentially, I've known about this for a long time. I've known this about myself for a long time. Could you actually go get my Bible case?
Okay.
We're turning to the Bible, boys. You know the green one downstairs?
I know. You have to go get that.
Okay, you play this game.
I'll just.
There's literally 3 buttons.
Okay. I'll hum the cast for a sec.
Yeah, just hang out with the boy.
Hello, and welcome to the podcast. I'm on a horse. Today, we're going to talk about Mason's Music Hour. I will recommend to you 3 albums. Our first album is going to be by Julie Dorian, I think is how you pronounce her name, and the album is 2009, I Can Wonder What You Did With Your Day. A favorite track of mine would be Heavy Snow.
Stop. No, don't play music.
I'm not playing music, I'm recommending music. This is the Mason Music Hour.
Stop.
We'll continue with the next 2 albums at a later point in the podcast. Thank you for tuning in.
Read this.
Boss fight. How many pages is this?
5?
Oh my goodness. I need to read a book.
Too bad.
I've never... You don't even have an apostrophe.
Dude, listen, I wrote this 2 years ago. This is an introspection on me from 2 years ago.
I've
Maybe-
never been one for heroics. I've always functioned better as the antagonist. Not to do wrong, but rather letting someone else play the hero. I've known this for a long time, but something made me remember it. I enjoy creating on an experience.
Enjoy creating an experience.
I enjoy creating an experience for people, usually through some character. In fact, I've made so many. That's all I am, characters. Another thing, I have protection issues. Protection issues. 2 words, no comma.
Whatever.
I've always had something, whether it be taigi, wristbands, or a big wool coat, or the red glasses. Having to add, my goodness, this is impossible to read. Having to add it to the characters, it's not good, but it's what I am. Always having some weakness, like I'm testing myself. Is that a quotation marks there? Oh, yes. Can I even protect a stuffed tiger? I don't know, can you?
Just keep reading.
Now glasses.
I don't know.
Part of my character. I'm just a human, flesh and blood. As a character, I'm an idea.
Like Batman.
That's an M.
What?
Oh, buddy.
Dude,
Like
I don't
Batman.
even remember.
He's not just a man. He's a symbol, a thought. Iconography is what it's called.
Whatever.
You can kill a man. It's a lot harder to kill an idea, but associating yourself with an what?
Object, probably.
No, what is that word?
Inanimate.
Inanimate object has a big problem. Weakness. The big red circle on the boss's stomach. It's a flaw in bosses I never liked, but it has a purpose, so the hero can beat them. But my flaw, my overprotection, is a problem. It's my weakness, not the villain I play, breaking me a bit every time I can't protect whatever thing it is. But as a hero, it's only logical to find a weakness, and giving them a reason to break me. Page turn for dramatic. Every time I play the villain, I'm asking to be hurt, but creating an experience is what I do. Another reason for villainy is my dislike for the spotlight. Don't get me wrong, I'm an intention seeker, but just like the glasses, it's a contradiction. But I do what I do best. Make a character. It's what I do. Mr. Lobob, LP. Maybe the best reason is the lack of... What? Consequences?
Yeah.
Nothing's...
Lauren tortures Mason with his writing ability.
Yeah. Just a collection of characters. Or maybe is just an excuse to wear weird glasses. Signed, Eric.
Who's Eric? I know who Eric is.
Eric Foreman.
No.
Nice Darth Vader.
Thank you.
Is that the only thing written in this journal?
No.
Oh, nope. This is the world's best pencil.
Heck yeah.
That's it.
No, it isn't.
Oh.
It's stuff at the beginning.
Dear Bay.
Flip a Dear Bay. Dude.
Can I read this out loud? Go
for it. It's a little meme that we made
Can I get
at convention.
Can I get it into the microphone?
Yeah, do an ASMR. Don't, right?
Dear Bay, the beauty of your smile exceeds reality. If I could get you to laugh, it would make my life complete. Your eyes are the gateway to my heart. Listening to your voice is what I live for. Sincerely, your Bay.
We wrote that ages ago, and we made about 4 of them.
Oh my.
We made 4 of these different letters that we'd pass out to random people. And then after that, it would say, if you're not interested, pass it on to your sister. And we thought it was hilarious.
I love it.
But anywho, that was that's completely off from the villain mentality. And that was kind of a rough idea, but I thought it was easy and kind of.
That's the whole weak point thing is an interesting topic.
Oh yeah, I haven't really touched at all on my inanimate object, like my identity association.
Oh no.
With things.
I'm just very much aware. But give an explanation of why Taggy's so important to you.
He was kind of my only primary friend as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had such a limited connection with other kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I spent so much time at home with my brother that including me having such a vivid imagination, I created this crazy world called Tigeland that was, part of what kept me entertained, essentially. Like, it made me feel like I had value in a place, essentially. And it's kind of a weird thing. But, like having that world, essentially, that I used to live in. And I used to carry Taggy around everywhere. I have a writing thing. I don't think I ever shared it with you. But it basically is like, yeah, I was kind of that Calvin and Hobbes as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was who I was. And so it's just an interesting thing to me. But yeah, it's really hard to explain why Taggy specifically. It's a red pen.
It's a connection to your childhood. I think that's the biggest thing.
Right. Like, I definitely don't have the same connection as I did, because I used to take him everywhere until I was like 11 or something. But like, yeah, he's just like a major part of my past, and there was such a complex lore to Tigeland that I could make an entire hour out of just talking about the lore of Tigeland, because there was so much, and I don't even think I remember half of it. But like, it was so. It took up so much of my time, right? And for that, I think it gave it a lot of value to me. But anywho, that isn't necessarily the best. It was kind of the first identity association in my mind.
And I think talking about the red glasses would be a next natural step.
Ooh,
Because that's the most current to your association with.
I actually,
physical.
I'm not sure if it is. I think that I had some of the identity association with my girlfriend, with my ex. Like, I feel like
She's
that's...
not an inanimate object.
No, I think she was the first case where I actually attached myself to a person.
Mm-hmm.
And considering the fact that I kind of deal with those, like, I never really had connected to a person like that before. Like, it was such a new experience, and I think that I attached myself too much to them, essentially. And so it kind of, I don't know, it was... that's just a kind of theory in my mind, and I'm not sure if I really did that much, but I think I did some. I think I did kind of associate my identity with them, because, like with the red glasses being the most extreme example, maybe well, there are also things like the
the wristband.
The wristbands. There was the coat, the big black woolen coat that I used to wear everywhere.
Which is very chic.
Oh yeah,
I like
but
it.
yeah, it's the one that I tried to make a kind of a big deal out of in Epic, but nobody ever really noticed. Like the fact that I take the coat off of Tristan's dead body. That was a thing that happened, and it was supposed to make sense, but it never did, because I never explained why the coat was important in the story. But anywho, so there was that, and there was the red sunglasses, and essentially, part of the reason why the red sunglasses were important to me was I had a lot of anxiety looking at people. Like, I couldn't just, like, make eye contact normally, because I was such an awkward person, and I felt weird because I felt like if I actually got into a conversation, I wouldn't, like, I would either look, like, just stare them, because I wasn't really paying attention to my eyes, right? And I would do that, or I would just look elsewhere, and I felt like not looking at them was better, and just even thinking about that gave me a lot of anxiety. So wearing sunglasses had always felt more comfortable to me, because I didn't have to worry about where I was looking, or I didn't have to worry about subconsciously just staring at a person for the entire conversation, right?
Eye contact can be kind of uncomfortable.
Exactly, especially when I don't really pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And
I've noticed I have like a bit of a weird thing where I look at people's necks, and that started to bother me.
Really?
And because I was talking to my mom recently. I was home for like probably the first time in a little while, because I had been gone for a couple days.
Right.
And I'm like talking with her. I'm like, I'm not looking at her eyes. And then it started
That's a
to
fine
bother
neck
me.
you have.
Yeah, it started to bother me, and I noticed it with other people. And it was kind of like a weird feeling to, like, when you're paying attention to someone but not like, paying attention.
Here's the
It's
thing.
a weird
The problem is it's a subconscious
the middle
thing.
Of the
like
notes, you don't notice it until you notice it, and then
exactly,
it kind of freaks you
and then
out.
it's too late, and then it's just kind of all overthinking. And I will say I'm a lot better at it. I'm a lot better at kind of looking at a person and talking to them at their face, and then kind of looking away.
But I
and
observe body language a lot. That's
Right.
a huge deal for me.
Exactly. But back when I had the red glasses, I was still a very weird kid, and so I would, I didn't like looking people in the eyes, and I didn't want them seeing my eyes because I had no clue what they were doing half the time. And so, I just decided that wearing glasses was a lot easier, and it made me less anxious. I definitely agree.
Major thing.
But essentially, it's exactly. And that's why body language is so interesting, right? Is because it's subconscious, and so it kind of gives you an in-depth look into that person's thought process.
If
Kind
you
of.
know how to analyze it,
Right.
then it's kind of a weird kind of feeling. When you're like, your beautiful face,
Yeah.
and you're aware of body language and what it means and how to pick up on it, because if
Exactly.
you're a curious person, then you kind of want to study it.
Of course.
And that's kind of a bit of a double-edged sword.
Right.
But it's also really handy, because then you can get a read on people and like be aware of the environment that you put in, so that way you don't feel like you are creating an uncomfortable
Right.
environment. Like how the glasses for you were just like a substitute for like that.
Right.
It was
It just made me more comfortable.
yeah, it made you more comfortable.
It-
So in turn, the other person might have been like, why is he wearing glasses? Like, that's a weird.
Oh, sure.
weird thing.
I am
And
quite
so-
aware that I
so
freaked out
then-
a lot of
but-
people
yeah, but
by
then-
doing
but
that.
then it became an associative thing with you. It was just
Right,
part
it
of
became-
your personality.
Right, it became part of my identity, and I felt like if I didn't have the glasses, I was kind of like slightly less myself,
Yeah.
essentially. And it was a super weird mentality that I was in. And I think I was aware that it was a weird mentality, but I just didn't really care that much. Like, they were valuable to me, right? And they were unique to me because I couldn't find them anywhere else, right? They were such a unique thing to me. Because we got them in Dauphin Island on a trip,
Right,
and I haven't-
Alabama, right?
right? And it was in a little shop, and I haven't been able to find anything like them since. So when people would try to do something with them, I was like, hey, no, don't do that. These are kind of special to me, right? And I feel like that kind of just increased the, what's the word? Like the notoriety of how much I valued the glasses,
Mhm.
kind of thing. And I feel like it made them more important to me than it would have, because I wouldn't have been worried about it if I could replace them.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a financial attachment
Exactly.
like people have with their $200 sunglasses.
Of
It
course,
was just
yeah.
like an emotional thing. Like,
Right. These are irreplaceable.
it's like if you have a cheap wedding ring, kind of like
Yeah.
like as an example, say, you don't have enough money to have a nice fancy big old diamond.
Hmm.
So when you lose that ring, even though it could be easily replaceable because of how cheap it was,
Yeah, there's
you
still
don't want
emotional
a
value.
replacement because that was the association. If that's an
Exactly.
If
Value-
if that's a fair example.
Here's such a weird thing. Value is objective and subjective.
Oh yeah. Can we talk about class?
Sure.
Because living here has been one of the most bizarre situations in my life, as I
In
will
Missouri?
always talk about. Yeah,
'Kay.
because the line between middle and upper class here
Mhm.
and lower class is a lot less definite than it was in a place like South Carolina,
Interesting.
where Columbia, it was expensive to live there.
Right.
So people that lived in Columbia were generally, more
Wealthier,
more
yeah.
wealthy. People
makes
that
sense.
lived outside of Columbia, like in Lexington and stuff like that, were middle class. People, once you got further and further away from Columbia, it was very natural. You got poor and poor. You get
Right.
to Gaston, very, very low class,
Yeah.
middle class. Once you get to Aiken, you're either a farmer or like a meth head, essentially. So,
Right.
but then living in Springfield, is anyone can kind of live there.
Right. Yeah.
And
It's
so you start to notice people's value on certain objects, and it seems like people that do have like low income families don't have a physical, not a physical, like an emotional attachment to things, I guess,
interesting.
because how easily replaceable everything in their life could be.
Right.
If you buy everything from a thrift store, you can go get a replacement for it.
Sure.
So whenever they do have things of like money value, they hold it in a higher regard than something of emotional value, which is kind of like backwards to me, at least.
Right. From
Because-
where you've grown up.
Because from where I've grown up, having a sentimental item in your life, like the sunglasses or Taigi,
Mhm.
have significant, and also part of my family history. We have this grandfather clock that came from England,
Mhm.
and it's probably the most valuable thing to my family on my mother's side because of all the effort that went into bringing it here.
Yeah. No kidding.
And the crazy stuff. I mean, it went from England to Maine. No, England, Connecticut, or something like that,
Right.
and then to Indiana to Kansas, and it's been all over the place. But then we have this handcrafted chair that was broken, and people just didn't understand why it mattered so much to my mother.
Interesting.
And then that whole value system in Missouri to me seems a little weird
Right.
for people. I don't know. There's a lot of weird mentalities here, and maybe I'm not doing a good job of explaining it.
No, I
feel-
think I get what you're saying. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it because this is what I've known, but yeah, I don't know. I suppose I have grown up in that mentality, so it makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But different classes have different emotional attachments to
Right.
certain things, whether it be for financial reason or emotional reason.
Sure.
Or so on. It's just an
Can't
interesting
get your
thing to me.
Yeezys dirty.
Exactly.
trying to hunt the deer.
Hunt the gazelle.
I mean, you can't kill them directly, but you can lead them into the guys who can kill them.
No, that isn't before I don't know what it is. This person gets what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean they're from the one place, Boston.
They're from, oh,
Yeah,
yeah. I know a guy that lives in Boston.
Massachusetts.
Uh-huh.
That
His name's John, and he's a great guy. He's got a beautiful bald head.
Yeah.
Very studious.
Just like
Excellent
like
mustache.
irony. Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely bald. Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, value is a very strange thing to me
I quite agree.
because
I'm just in general. Yeah.
I'm not bald yet. Because
It's only a matter of time. I'm
Mm.
sorry. Oh yeah.
moving from states to state, I think I value people more than anything physical. Of course, now I have.
Well,
I'm
of
very
course, yeah.
financially invested into my music instruments.
Right.
But I feel like I could pick up just any instrument. at
Like
this
you could
point
just
and
trade guitars and you wouldn't really care that much.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'll be connected to my first one,
Sure.
even though it's so awful. But it's like,
Weren't you thinking about destroying it?
oh, I'm definitely gonna destroy it one day, but I'm gonna keep the remains and have like a ceremonious hanging on my wall. You know, it's a weird kind of attachment to it.
Oh yeah. If you could pick up too much gold, it'll fall out of your pockets and into the pond. Yeah.
You built a guitar? Man, I've been trying to build a guitar. I need to get a better soldering iron because the one I have is from the 90s and probably from like Ace Hardware. Super not great.
I would imagine so.
It is a hard process. Working with wood, I've realized, is really difficult. I've been trying to get into some craftsman type stuff, and you gotta get good wood. I'm a big fan of working with walnut. It is rewarding. Super. I just wish I could be better at it and feel better. But also the thing with having, shoot, that's a beautiful wood. What kind of stain would you use on an ash? Let's get some responses.
Flippin', he knows what he's talking
He
about.
does. I don't know how to
Now
keep
I
that
understand
straight.
where he came from. At least we have that much.
One is bright red. Nice.
I love me some bright red.
But yeah, moving from state to state, it's hard to hold value on things. And
Right.
you lose value because you lose people. So I try to hold on to the people I have because I have difficulty.
You can't hold on to me. I'm sorry. You have a girlfriend.
We're
We're
still
not
here.
meant to be.
We're still here though.
For now.
We've made it this far. But
It's
yeah.
only a matter of time.
And then it's weird being in a relationship and holding value on that
Right.
because you're both two separate people trying to make your life come together, and being at a period where I'm at in my life, where I'm in college and I'm trying to transition from living on with my family to living on my own, but it's kind of become difficult because I've realized, oh, my family kind of needs me for this and this.
Right.
And I rely on them, they rely on me, and so on. And then her family has their own, situations. And it's weird, but despite all that difficulty, you value each other and just kind of try to plan it out.
What a bunch of nerds.
We've been looking at houses. Can I get a high five?
Really?
That's a microphone drop.
That's gonna be really loud. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, we have been looking at housing.
Really?
We've been trying to create a financial plan for us.
Without me.
What?
I asked you first, Mason.
I'm not gonna marry you, though. That's the
Not-
issue. It's not
You can
legal.
live with
It's not
me
legal to
without-
marry you. You're blonde. Can't legally.
I'm
marry
legally
you.
blonde, okay?
Thank you. That was the joke.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Oh no, they're dead.
Making a financial plan is crazy.
Run, Archer, man. He's good.
What's our next topic? I feel like we've been rambling.
We have.
It's good.
And by that
ramble.
I mean you've been rambling.
I have.
Look at these boys.
Grass is greener.
Grass is greener.
Creative mentality, or aware versus oblivious.
We've already talked about aware versus oblivious on the last episode. I'm trying to remember what grass is greener means, but I remember writing it down
I know what
and
it
having
means.
a thought. No, but it had a specific meaning.
Nice people break easily.
Yep,
Have we talked about that?
I thought so. Did we?
Living in fear.
Oh no, I didn't talk about that.
Which
So,
one?
which one?
Nice people break easy.
No, the
Living in fear.
flippin' irony says good topic. No, but good people break easy. Essentially, with my whole back and forth thing, the fact that it's a lot easier to essentially break nice people of their niceness because they're so quick to be like, oh yeah, there's no problem, I'm gonna stick with you, whatever. And it makes it so much quicker for me to go from cautious to manipulative, essentially. Like, it kind of takes away that concern, and it makes it so much quicker to just go right into the yeah, he knows what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like they're so quick to turn around because they say all of those things out of kindness.
Yeah, they don't want to.
They don't want to hurt your feelings.
I mean, a
and-
lot of it's insecurity because they don't want to disappoint you.
Exactly, all of those things, and you know, it's hard to even like, I don't even know. But essentially, just like I get along better with slightly meaner people just because it puts me on my toes. Essentially, that it kind of lets me
It's a competitive field. where
kind of
you're,
right.
like,
I don't let my guard down essentially, and I don't go
You're kind-
straight into my whatever it is mode.
Because if you're with someone that just takes whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they aren't constantly hiding and... Exactly.
I'm fake
Right.
nice.
Right. Just automatic niceness is kind of a bit harder to deal with, essentially. You know, like it's harder to read automatic nice people because it's really easy to kind of find the limit to break a person. And just I go through nice people left and right, essentially, just in the way that I go back and forth between my two stages, right? Like, that's kind of the problem that I have, and nice people are easily the quickest ones to fall from that.
We've had our squabbles before, but I would consider myself generally nice.
But not that kind of
I get
nice.
pessimistic, of course, but like,
You're more realistic about it,
yeah.
right? There's a difference between that and just kind of automatic positivity and, you know, all of those things.
So what about, like, what in terms of like being a nice person, I guess, too. You sound genuine, realistic, but also nice.
Right, there's
See-
a difference between that and kind of automatic niceness.
Yeah, because there's definitely like fake nice where it's for
Right.
gain. Like they're like, I'm a nice guy, so if I treat you good, then you'll treat me good.
No, that's
And
that.
it seems like it's a symbiotic kind of niceness.
Yeah,
That's what I picked
that's
up
fair.
from a lot of people who come off as like generally over positive and stuff like that. You know.
Right, but there are a
Yeah,
lot of
and
people
fake
who are
nice is
genuine nice, but it's still like
Mm.
it's still easy to break it because you don't know where the limit is until you've kind of already passed it. Essentially, like that's the kind of thing that it really gets me in trouble. Right?
Is it time to talk about refusal?
No. But yeah, essentially just like, oh crap, it's gonna be my other wall, isn't it?
Oh,
This wall is gonna get screwed. Pretty sure.
when you're rebuilding your house.
Wait, did they? I have no clue which side that came on.
Yeah,
Anyway.
cutting people out of your life is a good topic, I think.
Yeah,
You
that.
want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think I did a little bit already, But essentially, my whole thing about that is I'm really bad at it
Mm.
because I go between moments of strength and weakness in terms of my personality, which means it doesn't matter if I cut people out of my life, I will bring them back in because in my moments of weakness, I will turn to whoever to fill that need to socialize and talk to people, essentially. And I become desperate, essentially, and it's
it's very fair to say that you are attention seeking when
Of course.
when you struggle with things.
right.
It's very noticeable.
Of course, obviously, yeah. Yeah, and it's really easy to fall into that, and essentially, I can't cut people out of my life because I will just drag them back in. So, how I deal with that is I essentially kind of let myself become a bit more obnoxious and a bit more horrible, just so I can kind of push them out to the point where they push me out, and it makes it a lot easier for me to not have to push them out of self-control, because I don't have self-control.
So you and I both know that there have been people of recent history that definitely
Of course,
aren't
yeah.
around anymore. And it's a lot easier to.
I don't have to
Make-
deal with
yeah.
choosing to not talk to them
Yeah.
essentially.
So you kind of just know what to play at to make them not want to talk to you,
Right.
which is
It's a weird
it's very
thing
strange.
to do.
And it's another form of manipulation as well.
I suppose so, but it's kind of the optimal way for me to
Yeah.
deal with bad people in my life, right? I work with what I have.
You work that good, huh?
What? How dare you?
Next topic.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything more to say on that, Irony?
We'll give him 10 seconds.
Well, we give him 15 because he hears it, and then
Oh, okay.
I have too much money. I gotta spend it.
I have too much money.
Oh no.
He zoned out a little bit.
That's fine. Next topic.
Next topic. What's your political views?
My political views. That's not on there. You silly. I'm a libertarian.
I know. Alright, next topic.
I'm doing a quest where I have to think. Gross. What is this, like an actual game?
What?
He's playing World of Warcraft. He's doing a quest where he has to think.
I saw World of Warcraft Classic was released. Which is an interesting.
Look how many coins they give me. I have a certain way of playing this game where I basically just make a bunch of farmland where my archers kill rabbits and then I get money from it.
What? A kid.
What?
Huh? What's this one about a kid?
Is it?
What a kid wore to say?
Say that again? Show it to me.
I don't know what the third word is there. Fourth word. What a kid.
Oh, has.
Oh, what a kid has to say.
Yeah,
That's not-
I was just listening. It's just kind of goes back to the fact that I really sound like a child to myself. Like, my voice sounds deepish in my own head. I know it doesn't. Like, it sounds fine to me. As soon as I listen to it back, it sounds like a 13-year-old trying to stutter through his sentences. And it is the worst thing to listen to me. Like, I do not care about what I have to say when I listen to it because I sound like a child. Like, I don't want to hear a child stutter about the fact that he has multiple personality disorder or whatever it is that I listen to my own podcast and I just, well, of course, but
yeah.
like, to sound like a child kind of sucks, you know.
I don't hate my voice when I hear it back.
That's because you have a
But
nice voice.
When I sing, though, and I listen back to it, that's when I start to think about stuff
Right,
and be like, technique. Maybe I should pay attention.
right. But here's the thing, you have a nice, like, low, smooth voice, and it's pleasing to listen to, and when I hear my own voice, I just hear nasal. That's all I hear.
I think we should give you a sinus treatment.
It's not gonna help. I'm telling you.
Be a good vlog.
I don't think it would be.
We widen Lawrence holes.
I feel like they're already too wide, and that's kind of the problem. Is that I have too much nasal.
Nose reduction surgery. That's the answer.
That's it. I have a huge nose. I don't know what's going on with it. I didn't think I was Jewish.
It's proportionate.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's big. nose.
Chin balance, is it?
I have big chin. Anywho, not really the point. Anyway, I was just thinking about the fact, like, I don't care what I have to say just because of the fact that I sound like a kid. Like, I hate my voice so much because I just sound like a kid, and I wish that I sounded more like I do in my head because I don't sound as much like a kid, right? I sound like a young adult, you know?
But you are.
Right, which I am, but I don't sound like that, so I can't portray that to anyone else, and I just sound stupid. And it's one of the major things that I've doubted about doing a podcast is, like, I hate my voice.
So are kids, by subtraction, then just stupid?
Yeah.
Alright, you heard it here.
You heard it here first, folks.
All kids are stupid.
All kids are stupid.
Except for this one.
Except, no, I'm pretty, yeah. I do not value my own opinion when I hear it,
Interesting.
just because of the fact that
Yeah, we could bring that into play whenever you give advice to other people.
that's why I do it over text, because it doesn't.
Do people read text in your voice? I do. I hear your voice whenever you text.
I'm so sorry.
Isn't this funny? I found this on iPhone at 3 a.m.
Oh, that's mean. Don't have to be mean.
I'm not mean. I love you.
Uh-huh.
Desperation.
Oh yeah, just the fact that when I get into my, you know, when I become very attention seeky, then I start to become desperate to talk to people, because if I'm annoying to talk to, then people won't talk to me, and I become desperate because I require a certain amount of attention when I'm in that state, and you know, when I don't receive it, I just become desperate, you know. So it's a whole thing. Oh my gosh.
You know, we've been going at this for an hour.
Yeah, but it's
So,
fun.
I know. I was gonna say, because I feel like a really good big topic would be aspirations.
Aspiration.
We've been talking about some pretty low stuff, some pretty down in the dumps, kind of real life things. Let's get inspirational for a minute. Let's get
I don't
get
have any
positive.
inspirations.
Let's get
I'm
positive.
all sadness.
What are your aspirations? It says here businesses and film.
My aspirations are business and film. Moving on.
You wanna follow that one up?
I can try.
Let's talk about your aspirations and goals in life. Where do you see yourself in 10 years, Mr. Plunkett?
I see myself either doing sales because I enjoy selling things that I care about. I would
Pyramid schemes.
Of course, yeah. I would love to get into a business. I would love to start a business, pyramid scheme. And I love filmmaking and photography. So if I could create a company where I could organize film or photography, or just like an ad company or whatever, like just doing film and just media, and
So
you know,
being like
a manager,
a
essentially.
producer
Right.
type thing.
I think I would really enjoy being a manager or like an owner of a company. Like, I think my dream job is like owning Game Grumps, essentially. Like, their model is kind of the ideal to me. Like, the fact that they have that steady, like, it's just two guys making games, but then they can create such a great company for other things that they enjoy making, right?
Well, yeah, they've made games, they have merch, they have
All of those things, and they have like a huge
TV
building where
show.
they have all of these different employees where they do all of these things.
I think they downgraded big time.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think they're doing too bad.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, that was off topic. But yeah, the Prime Game Grumps, essentially, just like the fact that they can do all of those things on YouTube, and
Yeah.
it's just really
Create
interesting to
a
me.
livelihood for themselves by doing something they enjoy.
Exactly, and then they're able to live off of their simple thing, and also that gives them the ability to have freedom on the things that they want to do, like, you know, create video games and all of those things, and it's super interesting to me. And, you know, it's that combination of business and film and managing that is super interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it combines a lot of the things that I enjoy and I would want to have.
Yeah, I mean, because Warner Brothers, they produce films, they produce albums, they produce
Right.
all sorts of stuff. They're kind of like an outlet for the people
Right.
in a weird, well, not as much as it used to be, because it's kind of their big business, but that's kind of where you see yourself, maybe, like, just because they do have so much of a broad stretch.
Yeah, kind of.
Animation and so on.
Yeah, all of those things are just really interesting to me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of I just shadowed a photographer friend of mine that took my senior pictures, and that was super interesting to me, just to kind of learn all of those different things about the trade, essentially.
What got you interested in film?
I've always enjoyed storytelling, and I've always enjoyed film, and so I think being able to take my imagination and kind of put it to a point where I could show other people my vision, essentially, was a great idea to me. Like, I don't know if I've ever told you about this big saga that I had called Ice Wars, where it was essentially these I think it was 3 factions of people who had ice blades and fire blades, and they had like actual like technical designs to them, where essentially you would have a cartridge of water that you would put into this thing, and it would basically spit out ice as you used the blade, and like chips came off, and it would like reform the blade, and it was like all of these different little tricks and things, and it was just a super interesting series to me, and I wish I was able to bring it to life better, essentially. And I think that's kind of what started my interest in it, is just being able to share my visions, which I'm still struggling with. But
did you ever watch any Godard movies?
anyone,
I think it's Jacques Godard.
don't think so.
He's a '60s director. I think that'd be a really fun one to delve into, because he gets into character a lot.
Interesting.
Kind of talks about it's a whole deal.
Right.
But I think that might be something you enjoy, because it's a kind of strangely visual, but has a very, very heavy emphasis on the people within the film,
Right.
more so than like environment.
Well, I
Even
think
though they're set in France.
Right. I think I struggle with. I'm very bad at explaining story.
Yeah, because they're very like.
Jim Carrey documentary.
Oh yeah. Yeah, has to do with him being kind of the worst at certain points, and I think it's interesting when he did the whole Andy Kaufman thing. It's very interesting because they did the movie where Jim Carrey played Andy Kaufman, and Jim Carrey in turn became like Andy Kaufman, and Andy Kaufman's whole deal was he became characters. So Jim Carrey,
I love Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, he basically became the character for a period of his life.
There was a good like couple-year period where Jim Carrey was just kind of off the wall and just
More than
horrible
usual.
to work with. Yeah.
Right.
And it's very interesting. And so the documentary was kind of like a character case of Jim Carrey, even though he was playing an actual human.
That's very meta. The
but
fact that it's about Jim
yeah.
Carrey playing a character.
Yeah, but
Playing a character.
the movie that's actually he actually is in, it's very well done as well.
crap.
R.E.M. wrote the song for the film.
I came too
But
far.
yeah, so Godard does character well,
Interesting.
and I think that'd be a fun one to delve in with you. But yeah, no, that Jim Carrey movie is a great example
It definitely
of
sounds interesting.
character driven. Yeah, we should watch it.
Alright.
Not tonight.
No.
I have to teach.
Yeah. It's almost midnight, and I
Oh,
just
boy.
had coffee.
Oh boy. At least I can drive home.
Yeah.
Can I talk about how beautiful my drive here was?
No. Go ahead.
It's kind of a spiritual thing for me, driving when the sun is setting,
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
and you have that music to set the mood. Kind of a beautiful thing. It was really weird because as soon as the sun went down, because it's a 40-minute drive from my house to his house. So when I left, the sun was just barely,
Oh, yeah.
is setting, is getting low. By the time I turned onto the road to his house, the sun was completely down and the moon was out. And as soon as that switch from day to night happened, there was a car accident on my way here.
Really?
And then there was a dead deer just in the middle of the road. And I was like, this is freaky weird, man.
This
Like, I
is
was just
symbolism right
I was
here.
having this beautiful drive, and everything
This
was
is a
perfect.
metaphor for your future.
They've been building the highway. The
Mhm.
highway's beautiful to drive on now.
Yeah.
I haven't been on that part of it in quite some time. And yeah, it was a great drive with some bad omens at the end.
Yeah,
So
it's,
who knows?
it's not good.
Um,
You're screwed.
but yeah.
We're gonna go.
Should we wrap it up? Since it's getting pretty late.
Probably, you should probably, get some sleep or whatever nerds do. Got 'em.
I teach to children.
Disgusting.
They don't respect me.
Who does?
I don't know. They do.
Oh, I see.
I enforce laws.
Do you now?
Yeah. If you get a dynamic parent, look. If you can influence children with food,
That's the
you have
real
an easy
trick.
out. Just strip them of Skittles. You okay?
No.
Okay.
Anyhow,
What's a good final topic?
look at the list.
Not afraid of wrong.
Not afraid of what?
Not afraid of wrong.
Dagnabbit.
Not afraid of being wrong.
It's like I wrote these when I was drunk or something. Like I have that bad of memory.
I'm not afraid of wrong.
Wrong, stupid. Dagnabbit. I don't know. What a nerd.
How about I don't know. Not a lot of these feel like ending topics. A lot of these could lead into bigger things.
Right. We could just cut it off now.
We could. That feels lame. Let's talk about.
When we kiss?
Hey, we're taking this very seriously.
Yeah, right. You've taken
I
this.
have been taking this very seriously.
Alright.
What's your next week holding for you? Like what's on the table for Lauren the rest of 2019? There's only a couple months left in the year. What are your big goals? What's something you want to knock out?
I have a lot of things in the works.
Wow.
I am working on the movie, obviously. I am working on a book that I'm real excited about. I'm thinking about starting the Mr. Lobob show finally, where essentially I'm doing what I'm doing right now, where I just kind of go over. It's kind of the spiritual predecessor of Top Notch, where essentially I like talk about all of the things that I'm working on in terms of projects and whatnot, and what I want to do in the future. And then the next month I kind of go over if I did those things or not, or it's basically a less strict Top Notch kind of thing, and just kind of casual
Life update.
right
type thing.
exactly. And then I'll have all of the little different jokes and guests and all of the things that kind of my own little mini talk show essentially, and it might be a good time.
Be like David Letterman of YouTube.
Right. And then I also have the podcast here, and I'm actually daily uploading on my second channel. I've been pretty consistent with that. And I've been shadowing my photographer friend, which has been a good time. I did the first one today, and we had a good time doing some family photos.
What kind of photography do you want to be involved in?
Just whatever. I kind of enjoy all of it. I think it would be fun to do the artistic stuff and just kind of what's the term of like not just the normal stuff, but like kind of like setting people up and having a scene and almost telling a visual story,
Oh,
almost
yeah,
like
I get what you
lifestyle,
mean, yeah.
and you know, just doing all of that different stuff. But you know, that's not generally very lucrative. So I think I would generally be interested in doing whatever.
Something I've been trying to work on is my magazine.
Oh yeah, how's that been going?
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I've been writing some stuff for it. But would you ever consider doing, as a way to build a catalog for yourself, would you ever do like a photography zine where you set a subject for yourself and then try to fill a certain amount of pages with that?
A subject being like writing.
Yeah, no, like if you were to like be like, okay, I have 15 pages
Mhm.
and I want to take photographies of this subject,
Mhm.
and you just like psychic shops in
Mhm.
Springfield, and that's your topic.
What do you mean by 15 pages?
Like you have a certain amount of pages that you fill
Fill
for
with.
the thing, and then you build yourself a little catalog, because if you build something that's physical,
Mhm.
then it would be more important to you than having
Right.
something digital. So then you take more effort into it. And that's a really big thing in photography, is people make little zines of their like projects, and it's
Right.
a good way to like build a
Make it more
little
concrete.
catalog, essentially. Where you're doing it for more than just like, oh yeah, I do photography, but like, hey, I do photography. Here's some examples,
Right.
and you have your series of like. We've been doing a lot of photography in my art class.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so we've been talking about like famous photographers from over the years, and it seems like certain ones have certain themes that they follow on.
Right.
And I feel like that'd be something that might
Yeah.
interest you.
It sounds interesting.
We can
Definitely.
talk about that later too. Go collaborate.
Good way to build a brand. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he's a professional photographer, by the way.
Oh yeah.
A portfolio.
Yeah, that's why I started my magazine, is because I'm working on that arts degree, which will transfer over to a bachelor's of science of sorts.
Bachelor of Science.
Yeah.
Really?
Or something like that, because it's audio engineering type stuff, so you need artistic things and a good backlog of like actual schooling, in term more than just art.
Right.
So one thing that has been emphasized to me is building a good portfolio and keeping a physical catalog of what you've done.
Right.
So that's why I started the magazine, is because I need to force myself to write something that if I put in someone's hand
Mhm.
and they read it, I would be okay with that.
Right.
So it's been a drive.
It's
So
important to have
yeah,
that kind
so
of.
now I'm trying to set up an interview with a local record producer,
Oh right.
and I've been working on trying to like know as much as I can, so that by the time I do it, I have like something to say and I have something to show for.
Right.
So that way, whenever I work on my portfolio and I start like the website, I'll be like, hey, I've done this and I have this available. If you want an example of what I'm about, you know, and I think it's a
Be
really
about.
I think it's a really good gateway into building yourself as
Good
a
gateway
brand.
drug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But building a brand of you, like, hey,
Right. This is me.
yeah, this is my.
The actual good object association
Mhm.
of sorts.
Yeah. So like, if you have your, like you're saying, your little monthly update
Right.
and so on like that.
It's kind of my
Having-
digital
Yeah, it's a
portfolio of
digital
sorts.
portfolio. So I think with photography, it's really good to have a physical portfolio, since that's becoming less and less of a common thing,
Right.
and becoming more and more of something that's inherently like desirable. Like, oh, if this person is serious about it,
Mm.
then there'd be physicality,
Right.
because photography has become more digital, and that's what got me back into film cameras. Is like, I want to have a physical,
Yeah.
connection to this thing.
Although it's a pain to deal
It's a
with.
pain, but I've been trying to. I've met some local companies. I went around Springfield and I
Nice.
talked with the one lady for a good while. We talked about developing film, and so we're gonna start chatting up, getting some film developed for real cheap.
Heck yeah.
I'm gonna try to learn how to do it myself. So
That's how you do
I got a
it.
bunch of books on it from the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Advice to anyone listening:
Mhm.
if you want books, go work at a bookstore.
That is advice.
We have
advice
we
indeed.
have found some crazy stuff in there. That's to say the least.
Well, it's a very specific kind of bookstore, though. Like,
Not really, because we get pallets from all over, and so.
but still,
any
it's kind
type
of like a. I don't know.
Nah. There's no rhyme or reason to anything that we got.
I understand that, but I'm
Except
saying I
for,
think that's
like,
unusual for.
A day of Puerto Rican law.
Nice.
That was a crazy day. Yeah, we're off topic.
That's all of the topics.
So-
We're done.
We're done? Is that it?
That's it. That's the end of the podcast. Quick, you have 3 seconds to say you can plug something.
Hi,
1,
my name is Mason.
2,
Go follow me on
3.
Instagram.
You're done. Stop. Thanks. That was a good plug, Mason. And that's everything. Say goodbye to the nice people watching listening to the podcast.
Hi. You've been tuned in to the podcast.
Called?
The podcast.
You forgot the name
I
already.
did forget the name already. Do you remember the name?
Mhm.
What was it? Illiteracy.
No. Pure.
Pure pressure. Thank you.
No. Don't give them the wrong name.
Pure
It's about me.
Lauren.
No.
Tall glass of Lauren.
We talked
I
about this
remember
earlier.
the conversation, but I don't remember the word.
What am I
Attractive.
besides that?
Starts with an A, right?
I.
Huh?
I.
Pure ingenuity.
No.
Pure integrity?
No.
What was it?
Me.
Huh?
I am neither of those things.
Pure insecurity. I don't remember. What word was it?
Instinct.
Pure instinct, yeah. There we go.
Goodbye from Pure Instinct.
Yeah, you've been tuned into Pure Instinct. I'm your guest, Mason, and your host was.
Mr. Bob. Blob.
Yeah.
Blob.
Thank you for tuning in. Tune in next time for topics such as.
Death.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And remember, drive responsibly.
Drive responsibility.
What a mess.
Goodbye.